Dun, 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 getting jiggy with it. You know that song? Okay, that's a good pace.
What's your name? Jenna. Come on, Jenna. Wake up for me, baby. Pupils, pinpoint. I need...
Narcan.
Yeah. Hold her head back, Javati. Okay.
This scene is a classic example of an opioid overdose. What am I talking about? Opioids like fentanyl, heroin, morphine, things like that. And how did I know? How did they know? Well, first of all, she was unresponsive, which is always a concern. Couldn't arouse her, but when the doctor looked into the patient's pupils, she saw pinpoint pupils. What that means is that her pupils were constricted, meaning very, very small, smaller than they should be. And that is something that we often see with an opioid overdose. Now, you're probably saying, well, can other things cause pinpoint pupils? Absolutely, but in this day and age, this is a very common one that can be deadly if it's missed, and it's easy to try Narcan nasal spray, which is literally what they did on the spot, to try it to see if it reversed the opioid overdose, which was suspected. Narcan is a lifesaver, and by the way, it's available over the counter. If you are taking like oxycodone, Oxycontin, fentanyl, morphine for medical reasons, you should have this. If you have a loved one or someone you know that abuses opioids, you should have this as well, and so should they. This is a lifesaver, y'all.
And we were just framing, and my buddy Joey comes in. He says a guy walks into a bar with a nail in his head, and then he points his fucking nail gun at my head. So what would you do? So I freaked out, and then in the ensuing melee, he fucking shoots me.
Yeah, working in an ER, you're gonna see lots of things. I've seen nails in skulls, nails in heart. This guy ends up having a nail in his heart. I don't mean to laugh. I'm just saying you'd see a lot of wacky, really remarkably amazing things.
Oh shit! What? I think I just broke some ribs.
Means you're doing it right.
They're exactly right, by the way. First of all, let's talk about CPR. Life-saving, okay? Make sure you know how to do CPR. But one of the ways, you notice the med student, he's all sweaty. It's a workout. It's beyond a workout. It's actually very exhausting when you're doing CPR correctly. Few different things you have to do it correctly. Number one, you got to make sure you are compressing fast enough. And by the way, this is not the hand positioning. I'm just using this here so you can see it within the frame. Usually you're standing over a patient, right? And you're doing this, okay? But you got to make sure that you are compressing at 100 to 120 beats per minute. Now, if you're wondering, wait, how long is that? That is the song from back in the day called Staying Alive. If you don't know that song, that's okay. I just recently learned that the Will Smith song "Getting Jiggy with," dun 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 dun, getting jiggy with it. You know that song? Okay, that's a good pace. Also, Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars, and also Ice Ice Baby. Dum 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 dum. Right? Okay, so that's that. Those are some songs to help you. You can, by the way, look on the Red Cross website. It's got a lot of good information. So that's why he's compressing at that rate. Very important. He's sweaty because if you are doing CPR right, you are pressing down pretty far. And we have often said in the medical world that you're not doing it right unless you break ribs. Meaning, remember, your heart is underneath the ribs. You've got to reach that heart. So oftentimes ribs get broken in CPR.
How are you feeling? Any pain, Minu?
तपाईलाई कस्तो छ मिनु? कतै दुखेको छ?
दुखेको छैन, तर पानी तिर्का लागेको छ.
No pain, but I'm thirsty.
Oh, nothing to drink before your surgery.
This is an awesome scene. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this scene is, first of all, if English is not your first language, you always have access to language interpreter services when you are seeing your doctor or healthcare system. And it is not your responsibility to remember this or to request this necessarily. We as doctors should be offering it. This doctor is doing a great job because if you notice, she is, even though there is an interpreter on a screen, the doctor is not looking at the screen and talking to the screen. The doctor is talking to the patient. Even though they don't speak the same language, she's addressing the patient, which is something that I always teach my medical students. I'm a course director for a third-year medical student course, the Family Medicine Clerkship. And so it's one of the things we train our students. You know, look, you always talk to your patient. Don't talk to the interpreter. The interpreter will interpret, but you talk to your patient. So I love this scene.
Okay, that's it. Whole compressions.
He took his wife out for dinner last night.
Losing a patient is the hardest thing in the world. It is so hard. And it seems to me that this medical student probably has not experienced death in this capacity before. And you never forget the patients you've lost. I'll never forget when I was an intern. I was doing my ICU rotation. And I remember the first patient I ever lost. I spent a lot of time with the family. He was actively dying. And then at a certain point, he died that night. And I remember I was talking to the family and doing the things that needed to be done. And I called my senior resident who was overseeing the ICU or the unit. I called him to let him know that let's call him Mr. Jones, in bed 3, let's say, had passed away. And I remember I picked up the phone and I was so sad. I mean, I'd never seen someone die. Where I called him and I said, I'll call him Jack. I said, Jack, he said, yeah, what's up? I said, the patient in bed 3 just died. He said, okay, what do you need? And I'm jarred and rattled because I'm like, what do you, isn't that news enough? I said, I was calling to let you know, it's very sad. And he said, okay, but do you need anything? I said, no. He said, all right, let me know if you need anything. And he hung up the phone. And I remember in that moment feeling like embarrassed a little bit and kind of shamed. And I felt like I maybe made a big deal out of something that wasn't a big deal to him, but it was a big deal to me. And I'm not blaming my resident. My resident was overseeing a lot of patients, and he'd experienced death a lot more than I had.
52 years young with a history of hypertension and hyperlipidemia, 20 minutes of substernal chest pain, 10 out of 10 with dyspnea and diaphoresis. BP is 152 over 95, currently chewing 324 mg of baby aspirin.
Okay. Blood's drawn, second IV started. BT.
Basically, this guy is having a heart attack. But I want you to take a look at this EKG. Now, I know you probably don't read EKGs, but they said he had a STEMI when this segment started. STEMI stands for ST elevation, MI, which is myocardial infarction, which is heart attack. ST segment elevation, if you look here, if you look at this EKG, you see there's almost like these tombstone looking things, these not quite mountaintops, so those big sort of raised round areas. That is the ST elevation. That is the ST segment elevation. It is very classic for a heart attack, and it means that this patient is having a heart attack in the moment, right now. If you ever experience chest pain, you go to the ER right away. If you ever have stroke-like symptoms, ER right away. We always say time is heart, time is brain, meaning the faster that we can assist you, the better your chance of recovery.
How are you feeling on this?
I mean, not good. I was just talking to him. Now he's dead.
It's the hardest way to lose a patient. Always hurts.
Especially when it's your fault.
This was not your fault. This was nobody's fault. No doctor on the planet could have caught this.
But I'm glad that this medical student has really good support. One thing the Pitt does really, really well, which I love, is they are a really good example of what should happen, right? And I love it. Noah Wiley is doing an excellent job as an attending physician. I mean, it really is awesome.
35-year-old architect working on a deadline, vaping nicotine all night, palpitations this morning, AFib at 147. Mr. Quinn, this is Dr. Robbie.
Hello, sir. How you feeling? The crap? When did your palpitations start? A little while ago.
We interrogated his smartwatch. His heart rate's only been up for 92 minutes.
This scene I really love because they're talking about interrogating his smartwatch so they could see how long his heart has been in a particular rhythm. Because once again, time matters in so many different things that we do in medicine. How long, how many minutes, how many hours something's been going on, because depending on time sometimes determines the treatment we're able to give. I'm not going to go out and tell everyone to get a smartwatch. I'm not trying to do that. But what I will tell you is that I actually had a situation. I have maybe I'll link that video here. As it was 2020, 2021, during the pandemic, I started developing palpitations where my heart rate was going up into like the 140s, 150s. I didn't know it except for my smartwatch was telling me. And I was also starting to feel lightheaded and short of breath and everything. And I really appreciate my smartwatch for giving me these alerts, because I then went to my cardiologist, had a full workup. I had an echo, a stress test, all sorts of stuff, thyroid testing. I actually even had a sleep apnea test, so much more. But I really do credit a lot of my smartwatch for being able to give me data in the moment when I wasn't feeling well. So what I'll say to you is this: if you have a smartwatch, Pay attention to it. And if something seems off or different, take it to your doctor. I had a patient not long ago bring in her smartwatch and showed me some of the readings, and she found out that she wasn't sleeping well. I ended up sending her for a sleep study. She found that out because of her smartwatch, and her sleep study shows she had moderate to severe sleep apnea. Use the tools that you have, and I really love that they were able to get some data from this. Guys, the Pitt is, I'm telling you, there's a lot of amazing nuggets in here. Tell me if you want me to do more of these. I'm doing them because you guys seem to like them. Tell me what you think about this series. Share this video with other people. I'm Dr. Jen Caudle. Please subscribe to my channel. Click the little bell for updates. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, everything else. And I have a free health newsletter at drjencaudle.com. So make sure you sign up for that too. Guys, I'm Dr. Jen.